Now, getting back to this story with Judge Chutkan. All right, this J6. Remember, I told you the narrative is going to be the only reason why we dismiss charges is because Trump happened to win. Now, it is their faults in part. Jack Smith, Alvin Bragg, Letitia James. I believe in part that they're responsible for Trump's victory. If you recall, his campaign skyrocketed after Alvin Bragg launched that initial lawfare against former President Trump. Also, the Mar-a-Lago raid, obviously, where, honestly, if you looked at the polls, it almost felt like, and it was hard to believe at the time, that now President Trump, or President-elect Trump, was kind of just slipping out of the polls, slowly being forgotten. And that's what the media, the mainstream media, wanted to do. And then they launched that Mar-a-Lago raid, and man, what morons. All of that stuff completely backfired on them. So Chutkan ordered the case dismissed without prejudice and explained that, quote, when a prosecutor moves to dismiss an indictment without prejudice, there is a strong presumption in favor of that course, close quote. Dismissal without prejudice, she continues, is also consistent with the government's understanding that the immunity afforded to a sitting president is temporary, expiring when they leave office, meaning we're still going to try and get you. Now, I know a lot of people say how unlikely this is. The only way, in my opinion, that this will be unlikely is if any and everyone that went after Trump, that were involved in this particular case, if they did anything unethical, if they did anything illegal, I think they need to be held accountable. I don't know what that means. I'm not a lawyer. But if they broke the law, I know this, they need to go to jail. They need to be arrested. If it was unethical, if there's room for disbarment, so be it. I believe that if some of these people don't pay the price, it's not going to bode well for Republicans, conservatives, and freedom lovers in the future. And I'll have more on that in just a second. Smith had charged Trump with 4 felonies related to the election case after J6. In August of last year, Trump was indicted on charges of conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, despite the fact that at the protest, he told his followers, go and peacefully and patriotically protest. Also, he was charged with obstruction of and attempt to obstruct an official proceeding and conspiracy against rights. It's unbelievable. Trump celebrated the case being brought to close, saying on social media that Democrats wasted taxpayer money to fund their attacks on Trump. And in their minds, they didn't, at least not at the time. This was an investment. See, the reason why they went after Trump, not only because Joe Biden wanted to go after his political opponent, because I'm sure by then Joe Biden was already hearing in the rumor mill that there was no way that he was going to be able to beat former President Trump in a head-to-head election, especially after that Afghanistan debacle. Trump celebrated these cases, like all other cases I've been forced to go through, and I'm quoting, are empty, lawless, and should never have been brought. Over $100 million of taxpayer dollars has been wasted in the Democrats' fight against their political opponent, me, close quote. Nothing like this has ever happened in our country before. Trump continued, later adding, it was a political hijacking and a low point in the history of our country that such a thing could have happened, and yet I persevered against all odds and won. And won. Make America great again, he says. And part of the way in which he's going to have to make America great again is we got to hollow out this deep state, and it's thick and wide, in my opinion, especially based upon that email from Secretary of State Anthony Blinken to his lemmings. We'll be back.
For the full episode of The Dennis Prager Show, go to pragertopia.com, sign up, and become a full member.